Hey, I'm Callie. Thanks so much for watching Graceland Online. Graceland Church exists to see lives transformed in the neighborhoods, the generations, and the nations through Jesus Christ. And the teaching that you're about to hear is based on the Bible, and we believe that it will be inspiring and relevant to your life. And if you're here because you're searching for answers to tough questions and looking for help on how to navigate life, we would love for you to text us with any questions or if you just need someone to talk to. And again, thanks for watching Graceland Online. We're praying for you and we hope that this video will be an encouragement to you on your spiritual journey.
Hey, thanks so much for watching and listening to this episode of Graceland Online. My name is Nate, and we hope this encourages you, challenges you. If it does, you can like this, you can subscribe on YouTube, and perhaps even share it with a friend, spouse, neighbor, someone that you think might benefit from it. Hey, I engage in all types of conversations where I'm trying to persuade someone that a particular decision is better. You do this probably, perhaps in a second nature fashion. Like, I want to convince you that the University of Kentucky is a better collegiate basketball program than Indiana University or University of Louisville. I'm not a hater, I like them both, but I went to UK. I have too many tuition dollars, so I gotta root for UK. Or maybe you favor Instagram over Twitter. Different social media platforms, but you favor one and you want to explain to people why they should see your perspective. Or maybe you want to convince people to shop at Costco over Sam's or Sam's over Costco. As trivial as those are, and maybe you say, no, these are really important as they might be to you, they're not intrinsic to who you are as a person. Right? They're not morally right one way or the other. Like, it's not immoral or wrong to go to Sam's over Costco. It's not morally wrong to cheer for the Hoosiers of Indiana University over the Wildcats of the University of Kentucky. Now, some might take issue with that, but run from those people, right? Over the next several weeks, what we're going to do is we're going to talk about reasons for the existence of God. And unlike basketball or social media or big box stores, the issue of God and the existence of God, not believing in God or disbelieving in God, cuts to the very fabric of who we are, or at least it should. And I hope that it does in a manner. Now, I want to encourage you to have these types of conversations where you can talk about and discuss, does God exist? If so, what are the implications? What are the evidences? Why should I believe in God? What does it mean? What's the benefit? Should I order my life? Should I align my life to these truths and these evidences and what we would say in the Bible about the person of God? I want to encourage you to have those types of conversations in relationship, not just with yourself, but with other people where it's safe. You can talk about doubts. You can talk about hang-ups. You can talk about hurts. You can talk about frustrations. You can talk about your disbelief, your skepticism. And so have those types of conversations, have them in safe places where people can be transparent and you can be vulnerable and people can be patient and loving with you. And perhaps at times they can be courageous with you as well to say, hey, I'm not sure you're giving this a fair shake, or I'm not sure you're thinking through this consistently. Now, my wife loves CSI. And you know, CSI, crime show documentaries and crime show series. And you know, even though you may have not watched them and liked those shows, you know what they do. They go into a room or a house or a scene and they can look at fingerprints, they can look at blood splatter, obviously the composition of a person's blood. They can think about how blood hit a particular person's face or the ground or a wall, boot print, the size, or the type or hair follicle or the composition. I know that's kind of gross, the composition of throw up. And my wife loves those shows. Now, just as an aside, if I go missing, you should talk to my wife because my wife knows how to hide a body. She knows, she doesn't have a plan, but I know they got a little dark. But my point is, like, she's watched enough of those shows. She knows what they're looking for. There's clues. There's evidences that these CSI individuals track and follow, and inevitably at the end of the show, they always land and find the killer, the murderer. Now, the analogy is pretty simple. What we see in the world that we live in, what we see in our hearts, What we see in our imaginations and our conversations and our desires are all clues and evidences to the question and to the answer, does God exist? And what we're doing is we're appealing to rationality, we're appealing to logic. And just to be clear, Alvin Plantinga, he's a guy who has a PhD. He teaches religion and philosophy at the University of Notre Dame University in north central Indiana. And he says this: there are no airtight proofs or evidences for God that are going to convince all rational persons. Why? Because we're all different. We all come to the table with different questions and different hang-ups or different doubts or skepticism, different degrees and exposure to religion or not having any exposure to religion, and different education and different backgrounds and just different upbringing. So there is no one airtight or evidence that's going to convince all rational persons. And at the end of the day, even though I think there are compelling, persuasive, cogent, robust arguments, evidences for the existence of God, at the end of the day, it still requires faith, trust, belief. In fact, there's a verse in the New Testament in the book called Hebrews. It's in the latter part of the New Testament. The writer says that faith is the evidence of things unseen and things hoped for. That being said, even though it does require a measure of faith, I do believe, as a Christ follower, as a Jesus follower, that there are some very compelling reasons, proof for the existence of God. Let me just give you a couple illustrations. St. Augustine, who lived in 350 to 430 AD, said that human desires are a clue to the reality of God. He says this: while hunger does not prove the existence of a particular meal, such as a steak, hunger does point to the reality that food exists. Just like we would say sexual desires point to the fact that sex exists. Relational desires point to the fact that friendships and community exist. So our desires, the fact that we're actually talking about God and thinking about God and having questions and conversations about God, point to the fact that God does exist. Or the mysterious beginning. Like where do we come from? How did we get here? How did the universe get here? Theologians and philosophers and religious professors, some who are believers in the God of the Bible and some who are not, talk about the plain staking reality that we are contingent beings. We live in a contingent universe, a dependent universe, a reliant universe, where we're always dependent and reliant and contingent upon something else. What is that? Who is that, I would say? Or what about this? The cosmic welcome mat. As Stephen Hawking would describe this, he would call it the fine-tuning of the world. Stephen Hawking, an atheist, an ardent atheist, would say this: the odds against a universe like ours emerging out of something like the Big Bang are enormous. I think there are clearly religious implications, he says. It would be very difficult to explain why the universe would begin in just this way, except for the act of God and God creating us as we are. So he sees the fact that you have the gravitational pull and just the right amount of oxygen and nitrogen, and you're this particular distance from the sun and not too close and not too far, and the moon's gravitational pull. And all of those aspects and facets point to the fact that there's harmony and purpose and design to what's going on. Think about it like this. You have 50 individuals who are expert marksmen or markswomen, and they've been tasked with being the firing squad and enacting an execution. You have someone standing at one side of the room, and these 50 marksmen or markswomen are 5 feet away from their target, so to speak. You would say there is absolutely no way they would ever miss. The point is that there's design and all of this, the intricacies and pattern that goes into the fine-tuning of the world that we live in, that points to the fact that there's a creator, right? It would be a statistical almost impossibility for those 50 individuals to miss their target 5 feet away. And so what Stephen Hawking would say, an atheist, and what I would submit to you is, does God exist? Yes, he does. Look at the world. Look at the physiological nature of the body, the intricacy of the eye, the composition of the environment, the solar system, the sun, and on and on and on, that point to the fact that there's design in our world that points to a designer. There's an artistry and a beauty to our world that points to an artist. And so what I want to encourage you to do is apply skepticism, apply doubt, apply angst, apply logic to the belief that you have that if it's not of Christianity, are you being consistent? Are you living in alignment? Are you asking hard questions? Are you casting doubt upon your particular philosophy or religious viewpoint? And I think we need to apply that posture to Christianity. And I think what you'll find over the next several episodes as we talk about reasons for the existence of God, they are many and they're compelling. Lastly, I want to encourage you to have these types of conversations. It's okay and right and good to have these types of conversations. Doubt and question and angst and hang-up and frustration and skepticism and disbelief. Have those types of conversations in relationships where you can be honest, where you can be transparent, where you can be vulnerable, where people who love you, they can be patient to you and you can be patient towards them, and you can have courage where you say, hey, I'm not sure you're giving this a fair shake. I'm not sure you've really thought through this. I'm not sure you're being consistent. I hope over the next several weeks as we talk about reasons for the existence of God, you're challenged and refreshed. If you are, perhaps like this, subscribe to it, share it with a friend, and we look forward to talking to you more in the next several episodes here at Graceland Online about reasons for the existence of God.
Thanks again for watching Graceland Online. We hope that God spoke to you today through this video. And again, feel free to text us if you have any questions about what you heard or if there's any way that we might be able to help you. And you can also find more videos and resources at gracelandchurch.online. And if you feel that you've been blessed by these videos, please consider donating so that we can continue sharing more content to more people. Thanks again for watching, and we hope you'll join us again soon.